I was trying to figure out what tab I wanted to bring. And I was like, I don't want it to be too much of a downer. But also, like, everything's kind of a downer.
I'm sensitive.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, a historical downer isn't as bad as, like, current events. So we'll go with that.
Downers.
Current downer, yeah. Contemporary
I'd be like,
downer.
oh, that's an interesting article. Oh, no, it ends bad. Okay. Today we're going to talk about a tab I found on New York Times. It's called Ghosts on a Glacier.
Oh.
Ooh.
Ghost stories on a glacier.
And I was excited because of ghosts, but spoiler alert, there's no ghosts.
You can't prove that. Oh. You don't know. Ghosts
You're
may
right.
exist.
I haven't climbed this mountain. It's about this climbing expedition that happened about 50 years ago. And a group of 8 people went up and a group of 6 came down.
Whoa. Okay. This is the kind of crap I love.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love this.
I was like, this is still a good story. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the mountain. The mountain is Mount Aconcagua, which is in Argentina. And it is one of the world's 7 summits. So it's like, it's tall. It's the tallest in the Western Hemisphere. It's, I think Everest is the only one that's actually taller than it. So it's a big guy.
Almost as tall as Mount Doom.
Almost.
Have you measured Mount Doom?
I have. I've climbed it. I went up with 5 other people and then 4 of us came down, Hannah. Don't make me make you be the third person. Why am I so hostile to you?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
Look, you're in a safe space, okay? You can be hostile. I don't care. I'm always prepared for it.
Ready to scrap.
I'm ready.
But like I said, tallest mountain in the Western Hemisphere. It's about 22,800 feet. Like,
it's quite high.
And it was first like successfully summited in 1897. And then the route that we're talking about today wasn't like complete successfully until 1934.
Oh, wow.
And so this mountain is considered like technically easy when climbing the 7 summits.
Out of the 7 other ones, it's easy.
Yeah, they're like, it's maybe the easier one, but the route that we're talking about today is not easy. Like, people, it's called the Polish route. And
yeah. Wow, way to fight against the Polish.
Yeah. What'd they ever do wrong?
Yeah.
They got to name it because they were the group that did it in 1934. So
it's
they were
not
like,
it's
our
a slur
route.
from like, oh, that's how many Polish people does it take to climb the mountain, or some like horrible old racist joke.
I can see where that lead up kind of felt like that. So this is going great so far.
It is. It is. Listen, we told you we might derail you. All right.
Yes.
I expected it. Okay, so now we know about our mountain. We're going to go back to 1973. Nice. And this group of 7 Americans, it will be 8, but 7 Americans decide that they want to try the 5th attempt at the Polish route.
Dang.
They were like, we're going to go. And there was a lot of buzz about this group because there was a NASA engineer, and people in the 70s like space.
Yeah.
Pretty into it.
They were very, yeah.
And so this group of men were like, all right, let's get our group together. We're going to do like weekend hikes. We're going to get to know each other and make sure we're like trained for this. And then several months later, after they've all met, they add in the final member of their group. And her name is Janet Johnson.
All right.
So our only female. And I feel kind of bad that she did not get to go on the get to know you hikes.
She just comes in there
she came in late.
Blind.
Like,
she didn't get to be part of the training montage.
Right. She was like, also me.
Yeah. Hi.
By the way. Yeah, it makes for an awkward hike.
It feels like a weird choice. Mm-hmm. And Janet is kind of an eclectic woman. She is an avid mountaineer. She has climbed all of the Colorado 14ers. She's done Kilimanjaro. She's done, I think, McKinley. Like she's
oh wow,
accomplished. She knows what she's doing. And the rest of the group like has some mountaineering experience, but also it's just a weird cast. Like there's a lawyer, a psychiatrist, a doctor, a dairy farmer.
This is like every topic we've covered on the podcast.
It's Billy Bob.
Billy Bob's there.
He came back.
He's back. That dairy
He's climbing
farmer.
mountains now.
I love this setup to a joke. That's what this sounds like. A setup to a joke.
They all walk
Yeah.
into a mountain.
A lawyer,
Two of them
yeah.
die.
Two of them are
Hilarious.
super dead.
A police officer and a student. So that's our group. It's a very weird, like kind of motley crew.
It is.
They all fly to Argentina. And like I said, there's a lot of interest in this group because it's the 5th attempt. And they're like, oh, NASA engineer. And now, ooh, there's a woman. Like,
I didn't know they could climb.
That's it. That's just as impressive as being a NASA engineer.
and she's
woman?
coming too.
Wow.
She can walk too.
Crazy.
Where's her children?
so-
Everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
Everyone is worried that she doesn't have children.
Oh my
and
gosh.
she's like, I will not have those.
Oh wow. Good for her.
Good for her. So they get off the plane and a reporter and photographer like are there to interview them. And after interviewing them, the reporter like leans over to the photographer and he's like, make sure you get everyone's picture because I don't think everyone's coming back from this. Which is like wild.
I would be like, and I'm gone. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm not even gonna go up.
Yeah.
Like
I know right now I'm the one who dies.
In my head, I see them focusing on one person, like, and just like
The
making it
alternative.
very obvious. Yeah.
not
They're
all
like-
of us are coming back.
It's the woman.
How did you know that?
Yeah. They're like, why are there 50 pictures of her and then like one wide picture of the rest of them?
I was just guessing.
I'm so sorry. But yeah,
Okay.
Janet does not survive this story.
Oh, Janet.
Oh, no.
okay.
Neither does our NASA engineer. His name is John
What?
Cooper, by the way.
John Cooper. You
John
related?
Cooper. Yep.
Cooper's
Probably not.
not a common last name, as we all know.
No, you never hear it.
Never.
So yeah, the reporter is like, this group has a weird vibe. They don't seem like they even know each other. They have a lot of equipment, but I don't feel like they know what they're doing.
Hmm.
And so the reporter is like already uneasy about this, which I thought was interesting considering where it goes.
Yeah.
And then they get to their base camp, which for the story, there's a base camp and then there's 3 camps every 2,000 feet.
Mhm.
And so your goal as you're climbing, I'm not a mountaineer by any means,
Me neither.
is to make it to each camp and then reacclimate and
Yeah,
then eventually get to the summit. But so they get to base camp and their manager also thinks that there's something weird with the dynamic.
Vibe check is not. It's not past
It's
the
not-
vibe check.
It's not going well. He's like, no one here seems to want to work together, so this should be a fun climb.
Hmm. Despite all those, like the montage of hikes they did together.
That's what surprised me. I was like, well, I thought they all knew each other, but I don't know. So the other tricky thing about this story is that we don't know much considering how many people were able to tell the story coming down and how like affected they were by oxygen deprivation.
Yeah.
Oh.
So their stories don't necessarily make a lot of sense. And it's not, and like that's part of the mystery is that for a reason or is it because they didn't have oxygen or is it both?
Cool.
So, okay. So they make it to base camp. Everyone's already like maybe a little bit miserable.
Dude, it sucks. Have you guys ever been
it's-
like above like 10,000 feet when you
Yeah.
keep going and going and
I
going?
have.
It's
Yeah.
awful. It's like, it's
bad.
loopy as shit.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to go up that high.
No, we're not.
No.
No. just being too high up in like the Rocky Mountains, it's like I don't
Yeah.
feel good.
Yeah.
I grew up in Colorado, but I've
Right.
been out in California for 8 years. And so now when I go back to visit, I'm like, oh, it's so dry.
Same with Utah. I walk up the stairs in Utah and I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, everyone here can't breathe. Nobody here can breathe.
No.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
kid, I didn't believe that. I was like,
Me neither.
what's altitude
I can
sickness?
handle it.
Yeah.
California has ruined me.
Yeah. Yeah.
My dad's like, let's go cross country skiing. And I'm like, absolutely not.
I'm good. No.
The dry air.
Never.
I can't breathe any of this. Yeah.
Mhm.
That sounds also
I
skiing.
heard that you've heard of Utah and
I've
Colorado
heard of
being
Utah,
described
yeah.
as Yeah. I knew. How did I know? I was trying to talk faster so you wouldn't like put that in there, but you did, and I'm proud of you. Have you ever heard of how Utah and Colorado are nicknamed the suicide belt?
No.
Suicide belt. You never heard
Is
about
it because
that?
we're all oxygen deprived?
Sorry. Yes. That is 100% why.
Like there's a higher level of
more
suicides
people-
that happen in those two states?
Yes. In those
Wow.
two, in like the Rocky
Weird.
Mountain states, especially Colorado and Utah. Yeah. And they think it's because of like partly because of oxygen deprivation. Your fellow suicide belter.
I wonder
sounds
if that
horrible.
plays out with like other
Hey.
places that are higher up too, like other cities.
Yeah.
Like
Should
Cusco
look
in
into that.
Peru or something. Like I'm curious as to
Open
if
a
there's
tab.
correlation. Yeah.
Okay. So I got us to base camp. Then they get to camp 1. And at this point, 3 people are like, okay, we're done. We're not going any further.
Give up.
We're already done. This is terrible.
They're DJ Khaled on Hot Ones. They just give up after like the first 2 wings.
Yeah. They only made it to camp 1.
Not
like,
about that life.
Notably, their leader stays back.
What?
So they are like, they don't have a guide for the rest of this.
Wait, which one was the leader?
It was a lawyer. I wrote it down. It's gone.
It's
Anyway,
okay,
don't worry
but
about
it's
it.
the lawyer though, is the stereotype that we
lawyers
wanted to
thing,
make
yeah.
The
fun of.
lawyers-
Yeah.
yeah.
I wanted to know which
Yeah.
one to ridicule.
Okay.
You can, go for it. For not just like being a part of the group.
Yeah. Thanks, lawyer.
So then they try to make it to camp 2, which they do successfully, but everyone is miserable. Like everybody wants to give up and die because
Why
it's
am I laughing?
That sounds like Hannah on every podcast wanting to give up and die. Every episode. They're like, just bury me in the snow.
Listen, even a tiny little thing that goes wrong, my brain is like, just get out of
Just
this
give up.
existence.
I hate to, okay.
I relate.
So Janet at one point says those words.
Janet, my girl.
You're a
I know. I
hero.
was like,
So Janet's
gonna
like, I
love
want
her.
to kill myself.
she was literally like, leave me here to die, which is
Hannah
What they
Hillam
did?
coded.
kind of, it
Oh,
seems
They
that way.
left her.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
All right. Camp 3. They get to camp 3.
Okay.
Their psychiatrist loses all sense of coordination and like can't put on his shoes, which is
Ooh.
a sign that like his brain
Yeah.
is swelling.
Yeah.
Ew.
So it could be deadly. And so one of the last remaining members is like, I'll take him back to base camp. Like he's done. And also they weren't sure that he would make it back because he was obviously uncoordinated. He does make it back. He was fine.
Yeah.
But now our group is down to 4 people.
So we have Janet and Mr. Cooper.
We have Janet,
I don't
we have
remember
John
his first-
Cooper.
John Cooper.
John.
John.
And then we have these 2 others, Zeller and McMillan. And
Okay,
those
and-
are the dairy farmer.
Hey.
That's who you want.
Yeah. You don't want to, honestly,
Bob.
the toughest person out of all of this would be the farmer.
That's actually, though, probably.
No, 100%.
Yeah. Like, they actually probably have like
Do
the
you know,
endurance.
do you guys know? I know like multiple children of farmers, and they're the absolute
yeah.
hardest workers
Oh.
I've ever met
Oh,
in my
yeah.
life.
100%.
On
I
Earth.
could
Farmer
never farm.
kids are like so hardcore.
I
Nothing
never.
gets to them. Nothing can bring them. You know,
They're
it's
just
insane.
like, just keep working, just keep going.
They're also the ones
To
that
a
are out
degree
in,
that's
like,
slightly like unhealthy, where I'm like, you should probably
Yeah.
take a break, and they're like, no, I can't.
never.
I was born into this lifestyle.
Yeah, no, nothing but respect for farmers and farmers' kids.
Mhm.
For real. Yeah. So dairy farmer is up there, and then the police officer. So that's who we've
lame.
got. This sounds like a game of Clue.
It does.
Yeah,
It was the dairy farmer on the mountain.
on the mountain.
Kaveh, let's
With the
take
pickaxe.
bets. Who's gonna leave next?
Who's gonna the cop?
Yeah.
I say the dairy
Oh,
farmer
duh.
goes all the way.
yeah.
That's my thought.
Okay.
I think that's a solid guess,
Okay.
knowing the end of the story.
you already know.
I
Okay,
take that bet.
Go on.
Okay, so they are like, all right, it's a sunny day at Camp 3. I think we can make it to the summit today. Like, we're going to do it.
Mhm.
They only have 2,000 more feet to go.
Only.
Only.
They're already at 20,000 feet at this point. So like the extra 2,000 is like 30% more brain swelling essentially while they go up.
There's no air left. And so they they have some high hopes, but they're like, we don't need to bring all of our equipment. Like, we're gonna make it to the summit.
What?
Famous last words.
They don't. It gets dark and it's cold, and they're like, all right, we should probably stop for the night. So they like dig out an ice cave, and they have those like space blankets. That's pretty much all they brought.
Yeah, like
the tinfoil things.
Aluminum ones. Yeah.
The aluminum, yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, all right, here's our night. And so in the morning, John Cooper has had it. He's like, nope, I'm done. I'm going back.
Oh.
And the other three are like, well, you seem fine. You don't need anyone to go with you, right? And so John goes. And that is the last that we see of John.
Oh, no.
Sad.
So now it's the three of them. And it's very slow going. The snow is like waist deep. It's treacherous terrain. They are like within sight of the summit. But then Zeller and McMillan turn around and Janet's gone.
What?
Just disappeared?
Gone. They were like, she was just right here. And so they start searching for her, and they hear her like little voice.
Oh, no.
And she's 100 feet off the trail, and she's like, just leave me here.
Again,
Janet.
very Hannah.
Just leave me here.
I'm good.
No worries either way.
Like, nope,
I've achieved all I wanted.
Don't go out of your way. I don't want to burn you.
Don't bother you. I don't want to inconvenience anyone.
You say that as if you also aren't exactly like that.
100%. 100%.
I'd be like, stop looking for me.
Yeah.
Get to the
for me,
summit
it's more like,
yourself.
I'm sorry I died. I don't mean to inconvenience you. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
My mom's going to kill me for dying and ruining it for everyone else.
They do go to Janet. They find her. They get her upright. She can't really stand on her own at this point. Like, she's very woozy.
Sad.
And they're like, all right, we're calling it. We're not making it to the summit on this one. We need to get back.
Yeah, you should have called it a long time ago.
Literally. Yeah. I mean, again, oxygen deprivation. Like, you make some bad choices. It makes you dumb up there.
Woo!
Yeah. I don't know what my excuse here is, like on sea level.
Oh, I just need more oxygen. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So they're like, all right, let's try to get Janet back. And they get a little lost. They find their weird little ice cave. And at this point, Janet's like able to stand. And so McMillan's like, I'm going to go ahead and get help. Like, you guys seem okay.
Yeah.
They're not, but you guys seem fine. So McMillan leaves. So we're down to two people.
The dairy farmer and Janet.
Yeah.
Okay.
The dairy farmer and Janet. And on their descent, they fall, but Zeller says that they didn't take any serious damage. They just kind of fell.
Damage, like their video game characters.
Their health bar doesn't go down that much.
My hit points went down just a little bit. I like -3 to strength.
+3 sliding down the mountain ability. Yeah.
And like at this point, Janet and Zeller can see the tops of like Camp 3. So they're like, oh, we're almost out of the woods. And Zeller's like, again, there seems to be a theme. Zeller's like, you seem good. I'm going to go ahead and go set up the tents. Because like, that's something I should do. Mm-hmm. So Zeller and McMillan make it back to Camp 3, and Janet never shows up.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that was this is what we know. They come down after all this, and they get questioned, and like stories are not lining up. Zeller and McMillan have like slightly different accounts of what happened up there. McMillan swears that he saw the Argentine army at one point and a dead soldier. Yeah, because they just chill up there.
That's where they live.
This reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Homer and Mr. Burns get trapped in the cabin.
I was waiting to make the same reference.
Yeah. He's all, I've got power, political power. And then there's like...
Is it the same
all, like,
one
the
where
presidents and stuff?
Homer slides down the mountain? Or is that a different one?
Is that a different one or is that the same one? No, I think that's a different
That is a different one.
No, that might be the same one. I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm going to be so embarrassed.
Okay. Yep.
Simpsons have done They've done
So
all
many
of
of
it.
these, they all blend together. I just remember that I
Yeah.
have power, political power, and then all the ghosts show up behind him. That's what I'm picturing. That guy being like, "I have the Argentine army behind me. They were there the whole
There's
time."
nothing.
They
Yeah.
didn't help me at all.
Anyway, so
So he swears he saw the army and like a dead soldier in the snow. Later, he
Whoa.
realizes
It
that
was
was
Janet.
John Cooper.
Oh, John Cooper. Okay.
It was John. And so, yeah, things are just kind of sketch. And both Janet and John's families are asked, like, are told it's a mountaineering accident, which does happen. And John's family really wants his body back.
Hmm.
Janet's family was told before she left, like, if I die up there, leave me up there.
I was going to say
Don't
that's
even-
what I would say.
I don't want
but
to
I shouldn't really
inconvenience
bothered.
anyone. Yeah. I don't want you to spend the
Just leave
money.
me.
Just, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
let me
sorry,
get eaten
I'm
by
dead.
animals,
Yeah.
like
And
my
so-
ancestors would have. Okay,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. As nature intended.
as nature intended. Let me make a stupid decision and get eaten by whatever lives there.
Yeah.
I don't even know if anything lives up that high.
That's true.
Mm,
I think it's
the Argentinian army.
the
Yeah.
That's-
They might get hungry up there.
So basically, summer of 1973, so we're a few months after this expedition, a group goes to try to find the bodies, and they do find John Cooper. He's about 150 yards from camp, which I'm just like,
oh, he's not even.
he's not even that far. And it's really hard to get bodies down
Yeah.
from these climbs because they're like frozen solid, and
Yeah.
it's hard enough to already like get yourself up and down that mountain
Mhm.
versus however many pounds of dead weight.
Literally, no pun
literally.
intended.
Sorry. Oh no.
I'm
not
so
laughing at
sorry.
them. Guess I'm not laughing with them
No,
either. But
We're
like
just laughing.
We're laughing near them.
they do find his body, they bring him down, and they notice that he's like not on particularly rough terrain, and he's clutching his abdomen. Like his hands are literally frozen to his abdomen.
Oh.
And they're like, that's weird. And so they get him down, and he starts to thaw, and they are able to do an autopsy. And there was like a puncture in his abdomen that went through all layers of his equipment. They
What?
describe it as like the size of a bullet hole.
Ah!
Oh.
Yes.
And the autopsy rules that it wasn't like exposure or this injury or anything like that killed him. They say the cause of his death was cranial injury.
What?
So like, what happened?
Did he fall? Oh no, it wasn't bad terrain.
Yeah, and that's other mountaineers are like, honestly, his clothes weren't ripped up, and if it had been a fall, like we would have seen more damage with his clothing, and like
Whoa.
Yeah.
he would have been more battered that way. Something's weird here, and like the
it backs
autopsy
up-
guy,
I was gonna say, it
is
backs
like
up the Argentine
something.
soldier. Basically, is like
They
one
were
of
up
them
there.
shot him. Basically,
They look up from eating my
Yeah.
dead body and shoot him right in the sorry.
They're like, no one's supposed to know we're up here.
yeah. Bam. It's
So
like
the
Lee Harvey
autopsy-
Oswald is up there. What the hell?
Oh boy.
Just camping out. The autopsy guy is like, we need to find Janet's body if we're going to get answers. However, it takes them another like 3 years to find Janet,
To find
which
her?
feels insane to me.
That's
Mhm.
a long time.
I'm sorry, 2 years. They find her in
Still very
1975.
long.
She has horrific injuries. She's on a shallow slope, and they note that there's a rock on top of her body. Again, like there's just like some weird circumstances happening.
Mhm.
And this group that found her, it was just a father and son duo, so they like weren't equipped
Oh.
to bring Janet down.
What kind of father is
So-
this? My dad would have made sure that I'm
No one
carrying
left
dead
behind.
bodies when we go mountain climbing. Kids these days have gone soft. The woke liberal media has ruined our ability to carry dead bodies up and down mountains. Men can't even be men anymore.
Soy boys.
Yeah, soy boys, exactly.
So they can't bring her down.
Oh, sad.
And so it's not until the next year that a group is able to like go and get
Wow.
her. And she's so buried in ice that they have to like cut off her left arm.
Ah,
which is also just horrifying because there was just a left arm up there. Just for whoever to find. And
you know what? That's some other father and son hiking duo is going to find it, and it's going to make their
that's
day.
going to bring them together.
Yeah.
Look what we found. These are the dead.
Dad,
I'm
can
sorry.
we keep it? Yes, son. Bring it home to your mother as a gift.
They bring Janet down, and the same autopsy guy, which I'm sorry I keep calling him autopsy guy. I didn't write down his name.
It's okay.
Autopsy guy does the same. It's the same one. So he does the autopsy for her and finds that she has just like horrific damage to her face.
Weird.
Like skin is like flapping off. Horrifying.
Sick.
And what else? Oh, they noticed that there were like really deep cuts on her boots, which was a weird thing to note. And then again, didn't die from exposure or oxygen or anything. Died from a cranial injury.
So when you're saying cranial injury, you're talking about like a hit to the head.
Yes.
Okay.
Like blunt force trauma.
Blunt force trauma kind of thing. Okay.
Wow.
Yep. And they conclude like neither of these injuries could have been self-inflicted. Like,
dude, they were
the
murdered.
autopsy team is convinced that foul play happened.
Whoa.
And so that's kind of where the story literally goes cold because
Nice.
Thank you. That's kind of all they had to go on. And so it's this kind of like, it becomes like folklore in the region and people are wondering what happened with Janet and John. Fast forward to February of 2020.
What?
Mm-hmm. Because of climate change and glaciers melting,
right?
Certain things are emerging from the snow. And one of the things that was found was Janet Johnson's camera.
No.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm. Completely,
me.
like, the lens was cracked, but that's it. That's the only damage it took.
Was it? It was intact then? Like
intact.
Oh my
Had
gosh.
2 rolls of film. And
I'm so excited.
Okay, so I feel like I have to warn you, we don't get answers from this.
That's okay. That's okay.
Which I wish we did. But it does kind of just build to the mystery because they take it to like an antique film restorer and the guy develops the film. And he's like, first of all, this is in incredible shape. Like it could have just been taken off of the counter. Like it's fresh. Mm-hmm. And we see, I think it's also, I'll include some of the pictures. Because they're actually really lovely. And it's like a weird, like kind of bittersweet moment because you're like, oh, this woman like was documenting her trip. And
that's really sad.
It's a little sad. There's a picture she has of herself, like, she looks very happy. But the last few pictures are what are kind of notable, which is that the weather looks fine in these pictures. Mm-hmm. And they were pretty high up. And I think this was after Camp 3 because they were able to like see when people were leaving based on the photos.
Oh, okay.
And what they've concluded is like Janet was able to compose and focus this camera. Like she was clearly mentally well enough to like take these photos. So it doesn't make a lot of sense that she was out of it. So yeah, that's kind of what is revealed through these photos. I forgot to mention they also found a diary on John Cooper's body. And in that diary, he notes that like Janet did not get along with the rest of the group. He calls Janet. Her he says she sure is weird. Like that's what he says.
Ooh.
Which I was like,
if he weren't already gone, I would challenge him.
Yeah, it made me be a little like, no, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah,
he's dead.
Any of this.
He says that she sure is weird, and he seems very annoyed that she can't contribute physically as much as the other guys. Like, says that she won't like pull her weight, which I'm like, okay.
All
right, dude. Or do you just not like that there's a woman?
I was like,
I think it's that.
I think it's that. So I think there's just like enough unknown that we can't rule out that something horrifying didn't happen.
Wow.
And that's kind of what we know.
Wow.
It's wild.
I'm looking at some of the
speculation
photos.
Time. What's your thought, Alyssa, as the resident expert on it?
Okay. My thought. I think so. At one point, Zeller mentions that he shot off a flare gun,
Mhm.
like when they're kind of trying to find their way. So I wonder if that did any damage, like the wound. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, but
Pure
I'm no-
speculation. We're
I'm no
totally we're just
doctor.
riffing.
There has been like a love triangle has been supposed. I don't know if there's any
Jealousy.
evidence of that, right? Ooh.
I think she was just a woman among a bunch of men, and everyone's like,
I think she was on.
She was giving me looks the entire time.
It was love.
Yeah. She said that I'm not like other customers at the strip club, that I'm very different, that I'm one of the good ones.
I think that was the probably most likely.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think maybe she got on their nerves or something.
Wow.
Like, which is such a bummer, but I think decisions were made, and
You think they killed her then?
I kind of maybe do.
Yeah.
I think there's enough unknown to be like, this doesn't feel like an accident.
No, especially because she didn't die of exposure.
Right.
And then she just went missing. Like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
She wasn't there anymore. I turned around and she was gone.
The story's
I saw a rock hit her. I don't know who was holding the rock.
It was maybe me.
It looked like
I had
my
a rock
hand,
at one
but
point.
I don't know.
Boys will be boys. I don't remember.
Oh my God.
No matter where they go, but they'll still kill someone. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, it feels... Well, then what about John Cooper, though? Because he seems like... If he got... Did anyone have a gun?
So the only thing I saw was that they had the flare gun.
Okay.
There were also theories that like these people fell and like hit themselves with their ice pick, which does happen.
Oh.
But neither body was discovered with their ice pick. Like those have not been recovered. We've never found those. And so again, like it's just enough is off where it's weird. And the lack of like other injuries. If it's a fall, everything's getting hurt. Like
right.
It wouldn't just be your head. Like you would be torn up.
I would
like
say
your
that
arms
maybe
and
wild
legs would be
animals, but I don't even
A
think.
Yeti, perhaps?
It was probably.
What'd you say?
A
The
Yeti,
Yeti?
perhaps?
That is no. That is only in Nepal.
Yetis aren't violent. It's
That
called
type of
immigration,
Sasquatch
Hannah. I don't know
is
if
in
you've ever
Nepal.
heard of it.
The Yeti
People
also
leave
wanted to
their
do the Seven
homeland. Yeah,
Summits.
exactly. People
You
leave
calling
Nepal.
me racist
Yeah.
here on
Please
my
don't.
podcast? No, that's creepy. That's creepy.
Yeah. So I thought it was just a wild story. The camera resurfacing was really
That's really trippy, yeah.
crazy to me. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, so that's my tab. That's what I got.
Awesome.
I wish there was more closure to it because I also
I
want
love
to know what
unsolved
happened.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean
But if
that.
if we ever figure out more, we can do an update.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Dude, that's awesome.
Thank you,
Thank
Alyssa.
you.
Wonderful job. Good job on your first
You
tab.
had me
Thank you.
like hooked.
Oh, thanks.
Um,
I'm glad you enjoyed.
yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for all of that. That's kind of my kind of story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.